Welcome to the lovely IHP community and 5D collective. Anyone who's new, let me begin with please, for those regular community members, know that we have our audio episode on Spotify. If you want, you can tune in, or any of the other podcast platforms that IHP is on. The 5D Mystic Expanding Consciousness Channeled Guidance, Relationships and Trauma Healing Taken Seriously. So, for YouTube, we're going to continue with our messages for true lovers who lead relationships with an inner child, adult love language, and a funny bone, thanks to mindfully, spiritually living and loving as your true self with no fear or shame. And our short begins that journey when I gave you a bit of a message on how the distorted feminine, masculine 3D, 4D are unsafe. They are dysregulated with fear and shame. There's no security or love. Not because they can't have it, but because they're not there, internally securely attached, 0-1-year-old, and all their child parts asleep. Okay, so the 5D Mystic Empowered Feminine is here to share why unsafe, unhealed, dysregulated, fear, shame-driven masculine feminine are going to be easily spottable by any of those of you who are part of our 5D collective. We have no unhealed or ignored trauma. We have no dysregulated nervous system and threat response in the lead, which means that we're not wanting to be in those little fists. We do not have the desire to stay or be in any way, shape, or form non-bilaterally integrated. And we also have no inner child with the adaptive child behaviors and maladaptive patterns of behaviors that are ignored, unhealed, and not accounted for. So example, excuse me, you're confusing, doesn't happen. Or minute isn't enough, doesn't happen. Or getting in people's faces who get in your faces, doesn't happen. If I'm a dick, what happens is, I had a really bad day today. It's not an excuse. I'm working on it. That's how 5D works. They say they don't bring you, you know what? I'm going to have crappy days and I'm going to decide to do laundry like the Zen Master. That is not an empowered masculine. It's definitely not an empowered feminine. So they're not choosing to self-regulate, self-attune, and self-soothe in their non-threat, in their safety nervous system response like the fancy lady. They don't want to. So when you meet Cuscos, you'll know, because they don't take accountability for their dick behavior. From the very bare minimum to the very big minimum, it doesn't matter. My facade friend is who I'll be using as an example. Okay, so they have a hole in their heart, and that hole is because they're not internally a core self, narrative, relational soul self that has their 0-1-year-old asleep, and that they can tend to their nervous system and then know how to be a funny bone. To consistently be in their prefrontal with the left and right working together by choice because they want to. Okay, this is the one part of why determined come on in. Some people will not want to be their internally 0-1-year-old securely attached, which is why even if we have a majority of securely attached people, there's some studies that say so, you'll find that they go to Terry Real and Patrick Tiahan and others to tend to make their relationships thrive. I'm here with the we thrive as empowered feminines always, because the empowered feminine involves empowered masculines, which means your 0-1-year-old is yours to tend to, and you don't say to somebody, you have to make me feel better. You have to make me seen and safe. No, I see and safe in all of this. I know how to self-attune in a healthy way. No fucking, no drinking, no drugging, none of let me get into my mood. No, I actively know how to be in my stress. Thanks, Dr. Dan. So, Siegel, it's called the restorative embodiment. 5D collective, Christ consciousness, mindful mystics and people. Thank you, Jesus, for showing me the way. God and Holy Spirit, and then with the capacity to be a guide with channeled guidance, food for thought, which will come up next. It's a beautiful time. Our themes are amazing, and so healthy self-regulation and soothing within our body thanks to mindfulness, mindset, and mindset skills, and therefore having an empowered feminine, which is our engaging our own social engagement nervous system and being in our birthright, the restorative embodiment, self-aware, accountable, and regulating person who mindfully and spiritually lives and loves. I love to love, and my baby, he loves to dance, and he loves to love and learn and expand and not cast stones and not bring a mood that he doesn't, or she or they take. You know what? I don't want to bring the mood. I'm going to talk about the mood, and we plan on how to work with the mood and stuff like that. So we also have healthy self-regulation and soothing with our minds. That's because we have no inner critic or outer critic or denying ourselves emotions. We have an inner growth mindset, and therefore we have the empowered masculine, bilateral and vertical, and overall integration of the brain. So we say, oh, look, I have emotions. They just came up. Hey, I want to share my emotions with you. Vulnerability, okay, and all of it, not just some of it. Okay, so the last but not least, we have self-regulation in a healthy way and self-soothing in a healthy way with our hearts, because we unconsciously love our true self with flaws, imperfections, and integrity. So being yourself with all child parts asleep, and you leading with your higher self as a functional inner child adult. And so you have a heart that is whole, and you have a heart that stays whole, and you have healed trauma, or you take it seriously. So we count the ways that we love each other as secure attachment, functional adults with those who want healthy adult relationships, and they have, like we do, new stories that heal trauma for those who want it. Michael Jordan, some people want it to happen. Some wish it would happen. Others make it happen. We make it happen for ourselves. Our inner world is a solo self that is whole because we chose ourselves. We chose unconditional love. And that is easy for those of us who didn't lose ourselves. And we're here for the ones who want to get out of what they didn't deserve to have in the first place, like Patrick Tian points out. So hurt people, we don't go and date anyone who continues to maintain any of that which is trauma. That's as clear cut as it gets. It's not, I'm going to weaponize words. No, I'm going to spot your dick behavior, know that you're not the one, not let you in on anything, because the reality is anyone who has unhealthy self-soothing mechanisms doesn't miss you. They're not into you for real. They're not building an authentic relationship. They have a hole in their heart which longs to securely attach to someone in that very non-secure way that I'm about to conclude with. So the empowered feminine saw this woman describing a masculine longing for his feminine, and as she's describing this very sweetly to her collective, she's saying how it's beautiful, isn't it? Because you get to go and tuck yourself in and be embraced. And this is the distorted feminine, disempowered feminine. But then again, I should organize my words. It's the mammalian heritage. So I'm going to allow myself to remove that. It's the mammalian heritage of every body, every feminine, that they long to securely attach to one primary figure. So that's your 0-1-year-old. Mine doesn't need that, because I don't need to even do that with my own primary caregiver, because I'm a grown woman who has an empowered feminine. You see what I'm saying? So my emotional body is Maria's, and that's why that Zen master, he doesn't know how to take care of his 0-1-year-old. So I can explain it to you with sciences. There you go. Okay, so that's why my oversoul, I didn't need any of my twin flames, soulmates to learn how to self-regulate. I chose it. As a teenager, I chose it. As a kid, I was taught it by my primary caregiver in my household. As Terry Real will point out, you will hold others and yourself the way you were held. But as Stephen Porges points out, we all have our own nervous system that is engaging with the external world. So it's not only the parent, it's actually my body and my nervous system. And that's concluding. And then, as that lovely smart lady with the brain, my thoughts, my narratives, my imagination, and my neuroplastic agent. So it's a co-regulating effort to learn to be in my safety soothing state, yes, with my mother. Everything else begins and ends with my mind and my own heart. And as an empowered feminine, the aligned mind and heart is what I just told you our 5D collective is. So we don't seek to fill a void, we have none. And the ones who are healed from a Patrick Tian have no more void and know about their child parts, and they're allowing themselves with those smart therapists to say, I'm not bringing my trauma to anyone, I'm healing my trauma, and I'm choosing to actively be a healthy, self-worth, self-soothing person who's a true lover, and that's for if they're our 5D. As for others. I won't label them 5D or not, what description I was about to give. So yeah, this heart with a hole, this person's describing it as a feminine tucking herself into a masculine. And I'm thinking, wait till you get the potential boot. Then hopefully you have Terry Real, Patrick Sheehan, and you're both in favor of going to therapy so that you can continue appreciating each other and then continue to fulfill each other's mammalian 0-1-year-old attach, and they'll get no panicky, which is why the functional adult Terry Real, he's a relational therapist. I love his courses, but he talks about being a mature adult as something lonely or something, lonesome in a way of it's hard. Like you can tell, like it's still the presence, in my personal perspective, of the teenager who wants to be seen, to be soothed, to be safe, to be secure, to be their 1-year-old with another human being, and who, when they find that they don't have that, they're longing, which is again part of the mammalian heritage. So it's with your one secure attachment figure, but it's also with your society. Because as evolutionary psychologists and existential psychologists will tell you, and more, our herd would kick us out when we wouldn't be able to be together and we were one with animals. So that shame and that fear actually stands as something that they describe as our biology, due to the fact that without each other, we don't have our mammals to co-regulate with, but also nature is scary, the animals and the trees, which is actually accurate. And so anybody who does want to be with nature, while they think they're whole, we know what they are, because humans are not safe to you, which means your home wasn't safe to you. I mean, really, nature is the least of safe place for a human. I don't pick a bear, even though men are not safe. I will still pick a man, you see? So an empowered feminine can be logical enough, because I have a whole heart and a whole mind integrated. And I'm like, yeah, I won't make it out alive with a bear, even though I know experts could explain to me something, and for sure, they might be right. But in the meantime, I'm also thinking, I want to have a chit chat. I want to have a good time. You know what I mean? So empowered feminine, what I get to tell you is, don't use your time with fear, shame driven masculine and feminine. Anyone's, you'll notice who they are because they have an attitude. For the people who believe in this cuddling together, that's part of the mammalian heritage. In fact, those are the relationship soul age group people. And so right now they're about to get their joy fulfilled, because that's what's in the air, is their lover, and that's the masculine who's longing for their feminine, and the feminine who's longing to get to put themselves in that little place like this reader was sharing. For our collective, it's more about the awareness and understanding of your own self. And if you're interested in being your empowered feminine, to note that a person who has a hole in their heart is not whole. Doesn't mean that they're bad or good. It means that they will be reactive. And that's the moment of, if you react to my cue of safety and you don't take ownership, your heart is not a safe space. And you never will be. Because you don't know how to take accountability when you get afraid or ashamed or and you got a master somewhere. Basically, you're just allowing yourself to conduct what it is and then use this left mode. And so here's what I find unappealing with the description of this woman, is that a person who has the capacity to be an empowered 0-1-year-old will not find it of integrity for you to have dick behavior and not know how to take ownership of it. Whoever you are, friend, lover, might you be, you're an unsafe space for my 0-1-year-old. I will never be in your heart again. That's for sure, especially when you meet them. The masculines are all completely unsafe. Like I said, I don't laugh because it's funny. I laugh because they could all be safe with a good therapist. Distorted feminines, I'm a feminine, so I don't seek. Plus, again, like that description of this woman, it's the masculine who will long in his heart space for the feminine, because the feminine is a healthy self-worth human being body. It's a woman or a man or a they who knows how to be their own wholeness, and with you and I then are co-regulating safely together. But the empowered feminine knows, again, what happens when the shit hits the fan with any of these people who have holes in their heart. Ask my facade friend. No, I'll tell you the story later. Meantime, thanks for stopping by. Again, we'll be back with more. Wholeness is beautiful to have. And when you can share unconditional love, it's really amazing because you always have space for people. So again, even if you won't put yourself in a little cozy position in a heart, there are those who you will. They don't have to be masculines. In fact, they're not. They're all empowered feminines, which means that there's empowered masculines. But in my case, I was thinking of an empowered feminine, and it's a woman. And that's exactly where my heart will go. My 0-1-year-old, she's always very, very good with me on all accounts. And here's another empowered feminine. Yep. So the empowered feminines, totally. Masculines, you're still scary to me because you don't have the capacity to be as deeply, emotionally gooey, ooey, ooey as my 0-1-year-old wants, which is why you're not it. You're not it. You're not, no, that doesn't happen. But you're out as a teenager. It's like, nope. Yes, you're in. And that was my first relationship, and it was a good one. And then I got to meet some more relationships, and they've all been good, but they've all shown me the same thing. If they have a hole in their heart, they have a master somewhere, and that's not me because I don't do master. I'm an empowered feminine. You have free will. I can see your potential. I will allow myself to share with you the potential I see, and I will treat you very unconditionally with love. And the minute that Coos goes in town, it's okay. You won't notice that I noticed. The fancy lady is the perfect example of what those people who don't grow up to become their whole inner child self will never notice because they don't have the desire to welcome the depths of who they are. They don't have to. The Zen master doesn't have himself either. He has laundry. It's called he doesn't have a relationship with his prefrontal and healthy self-worth in a bilaterally vertically integrated 0-1-year-old. I mean, he has healthy self-worth in other ways, but not in this way of handling the secondary human consciousness with bliss and awe and continue to fulfill being a Zen master. In fact, he actively carries a title as if he should when he's telling people you cannot achieve enlightenment. Liar. We do have enlightenment. Sadhguru is one of them, and so are smart neuroscientists. So again, when people have holes in their heart, they don't know what they're saying because they're filling it up with shit. And then we get to hear, hey, ego, what's up? You having a good time? Really awesome. I'm going to head on out now. So we'll be back again with more. Have a good one.